So assume, because I've got my chair set up, we might be here for a little bit. So I would already suggest grab a snack. I have been loving frozen kiwis lately. Freeze your kiwis and then munch them, skin and everything. Literally my favorite snack of all time. So, I don't want to get too cozy. I don't want to get into your personal space. But, first of all, eat a bite of this. Again, I'm like getting nervous because I know what I want to talk about. I've been putting this one off. I just didn't have all the words to say, and school, again, first priority, and I had to do a couple projects that helped me think and like expose some other pockets that I needed to dive into a little bit more for myself in order to talk about this. And yesterday, me and my best friend, sorry, I hate talking with my mouth full. My best friend and I had this conversation yesterday about social media and the influence that it had on us, and just our wants and our needs in the world, and like kind of all things in between. And there's a few people out there who know like the extent of my internet life, but I have been on the internet since I was a child, so since I was 13 or whatever, and I didn't really do the Facebook thing. I wasn't allowed Facebook, but when I was 13, I got Instagram. And that was the beginning of my internet journey. And it was very fun at the beginning. Like, it was all like Jenna Marbles videos and Superwoman are like two of my favorite people. Like just wanting to be like iCarly, like stuff like that, right? But for me, it got actually really deep, and it became a part of my lifestyle and a part of the way that I interacted with people inside and outside the world, and eventually how I made friends and how I continue to make friends. And then it made me quite socially awkward outside of the world. So basically, when I moved from my hometown, I became extremely depressed. That was the first time I ever experienced like a low depression. I was, going through puberty, obviously, like, 15-year-olds, that's kind of the age where all the hormones are freaking out and you don't know why you're sad and you're hungry all the time, and then, everyone's looking at you, but no one really cares. All this, all these things go through your mind. So, because I didn't feel like I had a lot of support, I ran to the internet. And eventually I made really amazing friends within my year, and one of my best friends to this day, and she's a little internet girl as well. And my other friends, like in school, like, they're all nerds and play video games and stuff. So it was like a community. And especially when I moved from Tumblr, it was almost like there was this new language that I needed to learn, and I was coming out of like the deep north, and I didn't know how to interact properly, and I didn't know what was cool, and I didn't know music other than like the 1-2 stations that we had up there. So I was super under a rock by the time I came down here. So being exposed to the internet was something that I fell into so hard. And my journey started with Instagram, but Instagram bored me to tears because I just could only talk to the like people around, and like we were all at school. So I don't 100% remember why I started a Twitter account, but I'm gonna assume it was most likely the same time that I liked One Direction. So I was a One Direction fangirl. Niall Horn, if you're out there, I probably will still love you and marry you. hit me up. I think he's married with children by now. Never mind. But this started my Twitter obsession. So my Twitter account, Where's the Pizza, had over 5,000 followers on it. And it was a big following, and I had a lot of interactions on that page and a lot of really specific things. So it was all tailored, right? It was kind of, I don't remember what year this all was, but the technology coming out at the time, it wasn't 100% like tailored to your brain yet. Like, they were really just figuring that out. So I kind of slipped under the big blanket of how toxic Twitter is, and I was more embedded in the beginning, like, parts of it. I don't know how to explain it properly, but I'll talk about it later. But when I look at Twitter now, like, it's like being in traffic. Like, it's like jumping into traffic and then like trying to swerve around and like find where you're gonna park or something, and then you're getting like lost because there's all these other things and like people are screaming and like arguing. It's craziness on there. When I was 15, 16, I don't know if I had it at 17, I might have, but definitely 15, 16, that was like my prime years. I met one of my best, okay, back with the fruit. So, 16, I was deep in the One Direction. 21 Pilots was big. But through that, I actually, I took a girl, one of my followers, to a One Direction concert. I like threw it up there. I didn't have anyone else to go with. And I was like, does anyone want to go to the Vancouver concert with me? Hit me up. And yeah, so I went with like one of my followers. Oh my God, she was such a sweetheart. Malika screamed the whole time. Whole damn time, girl. Like, not even like, woohoo! It was like, ah! Full on. Everyone around us was like, I didn't know what to do. I'm happy we had a good time. Anyway, great memory. What else? I FaceTime my Florida friend all the time throughout high school. And we just kept each other company. And did the same with my other friends. Like, it was a really cool experience, and I would never, ever trade it for the world. But eventually it was becoming too big, and I didn't have the proper brain structure to speak on the topics or to other users to the same degree without it harming me in some sort of way. And like, realistically, it changed the way that my brain developed and the way that I interacted with the world, the way that I defend myself, like the way my brain can like be manipulating some sort of outcome in my head. Like, Twitter was so fast-paced for me, and I had such a like wide following, that yeah, I didn't understand the impact that could have. So eventually I was dragged to the stake and set on fire one day, and it's hilarious that I never forget it, but I made a comment, or I made a post. It was something to do, and this is like not really a confession video. I don't think anyone would remember me or like know who I am or drag me in real life. I love everyone. I am not homophobic. I was raised on the internet, so I heard a lot of like homophobic slurs and comments, and those are stuck in my brain. And every once in a while that'll slip out, but we're human and we're trying to recycle those negative thoughts and things that have been downloaded, so we need to give each other some grace. But as a 17-year-old, there was no grace to be had, and I made some sort of comment, and it wasn't negative, but I just said something about, I wish we could just all be equal. I wish that it was, like, we didn't have to, like, shush anyone else and raise these people up. It was something like that at like 17, and I was just saying it, and I didn't think it would do much, and it did, and it got over like 1,000 retweets on it, and I had hundreds of hate comments and like homophobic stuff, and that I need to burn, and that like all this stuff, and I was like, oh no. And I had a couple other friends that were like, yo, I know what you're talking about, like, you're fine, like, it's okay, like, we know that you're not a bad person. And I was like, okay, like, that's not what I meant. And I didn't delete the post because I was like, this isn't what I meant. Like, I want to have, like, explain. I don't want to just erase this. But I was getting, like, messages after messages. And I just deleted my entire account at that point. And my friends were like, oh my God, the rain is over. But, like, for me, that didn't affect me that much. Like, it didn't really, like, I was like, okay, a bunch of people on the internet, like, whatever. But to somebody else that has no support or, like, no friends, and to be, like, hated on to that extent, it was a huge wake-up call for me. And I really, I think, changed my attitude towards the internet that day. And yeah, I was really blown away that something that had been so good for so long, I was on there really young and talking to people like, hey, do you need a friend? Hey, do you want to, like, talk? Or, I literally met my very best friend, and all the time she tells me, she's like, you saved my life. Like, I was so low, and I'm like, I didn't do anything. I'm just here. I just love you, and I love everyone, and I want to help, and always have. So that was like a super big portion of my life that I actually grieved for a really long time, and it was weird to disconnect myself from that, but it was so, so good for me. And I did a project not too long ago, and I think that I'll add it on here as well, like on this channel. I'll probably add the presentation, but I went on Twitter to just see some of the old stuff and see what it looked like and where it was at. And because of the way that I live my life and the things that I research and the things that I do for school as well, like, I get weird stuff on my computer all the time. So my Twitter was tailored specifically to accounts with eating disorders. And at 24, my heart broke. Like, it breaks to think that people are subject to reading this stuff, and they think that it's healthy, and they think that it's a community, and they think that they're it's so much of like calculating your BMI and convincing other people to starve themselves, and convincing them that they look better when they're a skeleton, and convincing them that they aren't going to be loved unless they have a certain number in their bio. I might even, like, link a little piece of this just for everyone to, like, see, because I can only think about it right now. And it's so, I can't, if I could just scoop that out of my 15-year-old brain, I don't know who she would be now. I don't know who that girl would be. And you know what? It gets so much worse. Twitter's just one outlet I can't speak a lot to Tumblr. I stayed away from Tumblr for the majority of my childhood because that one was dark. Tumblr was extremely, extremely dark. Again, tailored to the things that, like when I had dreams, I would look up my dream meaning, stuff like that. So I was always into just, like, not paranormal stuff, but, like, paralysis and, again, like, not demons, but, like, spirits and like, you know, ghostly things and just stuff like that. So I was exposed to, like, lots of that and lots of porn, obviously, like, tons of, like, soft and, like, gross porn that's, like, tailored to, like, the young mind, and it's like, look this way, act this way, be this way, or you're not going to be loved, and no one's going to love you, and you won't be accepted, and it's so, so corrupt. And until you can get out of that bubble and you look at all the people inside of it, and you're like, holy crap, what is going on here? I know this is, like, almost sounding like a plead to, like, abolish things, but when it's not used with discretion and carefully, it can become so detrimental, and it has. And if you talk to anyone out of these generations that have been affected this heavily, like, we're detached. Like, before the internet, like, anyone there, like, we're floating. Like, it feels like sometimes. We have all this, like, cyberspace. And, like, my parents didn't know about, like, you know, I would bring them my Tumblr or my Twitter friends and be like, this is so-and-so, we met and we talk all the time, just so you know who I'm talking to. But there's no control over what gets sent. And I had this conversation with a really good friend of mine about, like, the boy perspective as a child and what you're subject to there. Like seriously traumatizing things as a young boy. Like, I don't want to even speak what I've heard because I know that kids watch this channel, but people are so incredibly cruel, and dark web stuff gets onto, like, the internet and, like, the video game world, and then they send this crap and think it's funny, and then it's ingrained in their brains and they internalize that. And it becomes a depression in you. It becomes an anxiety in you. And people don't understand this. And they're like, oh, well, why are boys so this way? Why are they so internalized? They never talk. Well, they never text back. Well, they cheat all the time. They're scared. Like, they're so scared all the time. And society puts it on them to be the bigger man and don't cry and take it and be there for your family and all this stuff. And it's like, we were all subject to this giant mass experiment, and we are so sick because of it. So freaking sick, man. So, I don't know, my message, I guess, to the parents and users, and just, like, make the internet your weapon. Don't allow it to control you. Clear your news feed. Like, unfollow things on Instagram that every time you start to scroll, just unfollow that account, follow that account. Only put on things that you want to see in your life. If you have goals in your life, if you want to sail, look at sailing videos. Stop scrolling videos of government crap and, like, propaganda nonsense. And I'm not saying that, like, all that isn't, you know, like, that doesn't have, like, value and things like that, but when you let things consume you, you can't see a narrower perspective, okay? The stress response, like, everyone right now, not everyone, I can't say that, but, well, you know what a stress response is, okay? So you get that heartbeat, you're like, when you've been traumatized, that doesn't get shut off until you rewire your brain to turn that off. So a lot of people are living in this survival mode, and some people have to, but some people are getting in their own way of living a better life because they're still living in patterns and behaviors that served them maybe as a child or into their adulthood when they were, you know, trying to defend themselves or take care of things, and that served a purpose for the time. just like I say, like I would never give up my internet days because it served its purpose for a time. It taught me a lot of lessons. It gave me the most incredible friends, and it gave me a platform to just be myself and edit videos. And I love to like edit tattoos on myself and on other people, and just, I don't know, play games and find connection, because like how cool is that? But with this competition to fight for who's better and who makes the better videos and whatever, we're just creating. We're just here to create and lift each other up. So that's my rant. After a while, I haven't done one of these. It's just been a really heavy few weeks. There's a lot of change. I'm gonna be moving again, so gonna be somewhere that I need to be, with the people that I need to be with. I will leave you with this. Something I wrote a while ago. And I actually got some really nice comments from my classmates the other day saying that I really had a nice voice for the meditation stuff, and that they got something out of it, and I connected with them in that way, even on webcam. And so just to have that validation really helps me keep moving forward and keeping me on the right path. So about 3 or 4 weeks ago, I released routine and attachment to things that perceive as safe. It's only as I give it power. I release perceived concepts of power. I am only but an illuminating firefly in the vast space that is our world. It's always been alien. I release my daily psychosis. I release it because I found comfort in it. But I am free. I am free. I've seen enough to know who I am. My spirit is alive within me. My spirit is free to explore what life has to offer. I am learning a little more about why I'm here every day. Sometimes I feel lost within, like my body separate from my soul, searching for fulfillment like I'm supposed to know. I release fear of the unknown. I am free to expand my mind wherever I am, but I can be content here. I am free to use my emotions for good. I am in control of how others make me feel. I can roam this earth far and wide without a herd. We are fearless. We are unstoppable. We are free. We are not alone. I recognize my body is a temple. It has been beaten and bruised. Precious cargo inside as you carry yourself from infant and beyond. Ask yourself, are we feeling tied down with what we need to release? From this body, or continue to drown? Everybody take a deep breath in. Sigh out. One more. Last one. Thank you so much for hearing me out. If anyone calls me my internet names on the street, I will answer. And I love you all. Have a good day.